imagine you're playing a game where there are 3 doors, and behind one of those doors there's a really cool blender, and behind the other 2, nothing. And you're on a game show, and the supposed show host comes up to you and he goes, "Mate, pick one of the doors that you think the blender's behind," and you pick door number 2, right? And he goes and he says, "All right, you've picked door number 2, but before I open door number 2, I'm going to open door number 3, and he opens door number 3, and there's nothing behind it. And he says, now that I've opened door number 3, with this new information, would you switch? Would you, instead of picking door number 2 now, say to him, nah, mate, instead open door number 1, or would you stick with door number 2? What would you do? Think about it. 5 seconds. You should switch. You should switch. Why should we switch? Well, let's not think about it at 3 doors. Let's move to 100 doors, right? 100 doors or 1,000. 100 doors is fine. 100 doors, and behind one of those doors is an amazing blender, and behind 99 of those doors is nothing. And so you pick, I don't know, the first door, and then he opens 98 doors and leaves the 69th door unopened. Now that he's left the 69th door unopened, you have the 69th door and you have your first door. What would you do then? So, I want you to think of it in a way of concentrating probabilities. This means that initially, when you first had all those 100 doors unopened, initially you had a 1 in 100 chance of getting it right.
No, 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 no. We're completely fucked, completely fucked. We're completely fucked.
And now you would say, oh, but it's 50-50, isn't it? Like, oh, now I've only got 2 doors left unopened, and it's a 50-50. Well, that is wrong. That is wrong. Don't think of it like that, because you would think of it like that if it was an independent event. If it was just those 2 doors to begin with, and that's the only information you have. But you have information from previous. You have the information that you picked the first door, when there was a 1 in 100 chance of you being right. And you also have the information of 98 doors not containing the amazing blender, and the 69th door being left unopened. The 69th door has been left unopened either because it contains the blender, or because you were right. Think about that. The 69th door has been left unopened either because you got a 1% probability event correct, or it is behind that door. What do you think is right? You want to think about that 99% probability of it being in those other 99 doors when you pick that first door, concentrating onto the 69th door. So now let's take it back to the 3-door problem. And so there was a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 chance that it could be behind any of those doors. And you pick the second door. You pick the second door with a 1/3 chance of the blender being behind it. And he's opened, what was it, I think the first door? He opens the first door. So now, is it a 50-50? Or is it a 66% chance that it's behind the unopened door, and the 33.3333% chance that it was behind the door you picked? 66%. Always switch. Always switch.